Welcome to Always Remembered. I'm Mary. Today, we pause to remember and honor the extraordinary souls who left us, whose talent, passion, and dedication touched millions of hearts around the world. Join us as we celebrate their remarkable journey, and may their legacy continue to inspire generations to come. Pamela Bach, born October 16, 1963, was an American actress who built a steady presence in television during a time when TV dramas were rapidly evolving. She was known for her natural screen presence and the ease with which she brought life to her characters, making her a familiar face to many viewers over the years. She gained wider recognition through her role as Kay Morgan in Baywatch, where her performance added emotional depth and balance to the show's energetic storytelling. She also appeared in Sirens and took on guest roles in various television series, showing her ability to adapt to different characters and settings. Earlier in her career, she appeared in Knight Rider, a project that also became personally meaningful as it was where she met David Hasselhoff, whom she later married. The couple was together from 1989 to 2006 and shared 2 daughters. Beyond her professional life, Pamela was known as a devoted mother who placed strong value on her family. Her journey in entertainment reflected both persistence and quiet dedication as she continued working steadily rather than chasing constant spotlight. She experienced the natural ups and downs of life in the industry, but remained connected to acting and the craft she enjoyed. Pamela Bach passed away at the age of 61, leaving behind a legacy tied to her work in television and the lasting memories she created for audiences who followed her career. 10 years ago this week, the country music world reflected on the passing of a truly unforgettable voice. Merle Haggard left behind more than just songs. He left a sense of honesty and lived experience that still connects deeply with listeners today. His music carried the emotions of everyday life, shaped by struggle, resilience, and a quiet kind of strength that made his work feel real and relatable. His journey to success was never easy. He came from a difficult background where hardship was a constant companion, and those experiences naturally shaped the stories he told through music. Over time, he built a remarkable career, producing numerous chart-topping hits that became part of country music history. Songs like his well-known classics reflected not just talent, but a life fully lived and carefully observed. In 1994, his impact on the genre was formally honored when he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, securing his place among the most influential artists of his time. Even after his passing on his 79th birthday, his presence has not faded. His music continues to reach new generations, proving that when storytelling is genuine, it doesn't disappear with time. It continues to grow, echoing through the years with the same emotional power. Few people have reshaped our understanding of animals the way Jane Goodall did. From a young age, she carried a quiet curiosity about the natural world, a curiosity that eventually led her far from home to the forests of Tanzania. There, she began a journey that would change science forever. Instead of keeping distance from wildlife, she chose a different path, living close to chimpanzees and carefully observing their daily lives over many years. This gentle and patient approach revealed something unexpected. Chimpanzees are deeply social, emotional beings with complex relationships and behaviors. One of her most important discoveries was that chimpanzees use tools, a finding that challenged long-held beliefs about what makes humans unique. It forced the scientific world to rethink the boundaries between humans and other species. Her work extended far beyond research. She became a strong advocate for protecting wildlife and preserving natural habitats. Through her talks and outreach, she inspired people across the world to care more deeply about the environment and the creatures that share it with us. Even later in life, she continued traveling and speaking, sharing her message of respect for nature. Jane Goodall's legacy is more than science. It is a reminder of empathy, patience, and the responsibility we hold toward the living world. David Allan Coe never followed a traditional path in life or music. In a genre often known for polished images and carefully shaped careers, he stood out for something far more unfiltered: honesty, rebellion, and a refusal to conform. His life came to an end at the age of 86 after complications related to long-term health issues, including respiratory illness, closing a chapter defined by both struggle and persistence. Born in Akron on September 6, 1939, Coe's early years were unstable and difficult. By the age of 9, he had already been placed in reform school, and much of his youth was spent moving in and out of juvenile detention and prison. While others were building conventional lives, he was learning how to survive harsh circumstances. In that environment, music became an unexpected outlet. Writing songs gave him a way to process pain, regret, and a constant search for something better. After his release in the late 1960s, he made his way to Nashville with little more than determination. At one point, he even lived in a vehicle near the Ryman Auditorium while trying to break into the music scene. His breakthrough came as a songwriter, especially with "Take This Job and Shove It," which became widely known through Johnny Paycheck and proved his writing could reach a broad audience. He later became associated with the outlaw country movement alongside artists like Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, building a reputation for raw storytelling in songs such as "You Never Even Called Me by My Name" and "The Ride." His career also drew controversy at times due to explicit material and an intentionally provocative public image. Despite personal and financial struggles over the years, he continued performing and remained committed to his music. His legacy is complicated, but unmistakably real, shaped by hardship, creativity, and a refusal to be neatly defined. Brian Murphy, born in 1932, grew up with a natural sense of performance that later shaped his entire journey in entertainment. Long before he became a familiar face on television, he spent years working in theater, where he learned discipline, timing, and the importance of connecting with an audience in an honest and simple way. These early stage experiences helped him build a strong foundation as a performer. When he moved into television, his warm personality and easygoing comedic style quickly made him stand out. He became widely loved for playing George Roper, a character who turned everyday struggles and frustrations into gentle, relatable humor. His performance had a natural charm that made ordinary situations feel genuinely entertaining, and audiences across generations connected with that authenticity. Even beyond his most iconic role, Murphy continued to appear in popular television series and remained a respected figure in the industry throughout his life. He was never defined by flashy fame, but by consistency, reliability, and a deep understanding of comedic rhythm. His ability to make people smile without forcing it became his signature strength. Brian Murphy lived a long and full life, passing away at the age of 92. His work left behind a lasting impression, and the quiet warmth of his performances continues to be remembered by those who grew up watching him. Barry Gibb's story is often told through numbers: millions of records sold, decades on charts, and songs that defined entire eras. But those figures only capture the surface of a life built on both extraordinary success and unimaginable loss. As the last surviving member of the Bee Gees, Barry stands as the final voice of a group that shaped global pop music across multiple decades. Yet behind the shimmering legacy of hits like emotional ballads and disco anthems lies a far more intimate story. One of three brothers who sang together before they were famous, rose together before they were rich, and ultimately fractured under the weight of fame, addiction, and mortality. What remains today is not just a career, but a living archive of family history carried by one man. Every performance Barry gives now feels like a conversation with ghosts, as though each note reaches toward voices that once completed his own. To understand how he came to stand alone on stage, one must begin long before the world knew their name, in a childhood shaped not by fame but by hardship, migration, and the unbreakable bond of siblings who learned to survive by singing together. From the Isle of Man to Australia's hard reality, Barry Gibb was born in 1946 on the Isle of Man into a family that knew struggle long before music brought them any recognition. His father worked as a drummer and band leader, constantly chasing unstable gigs, while his mother held the household together through financial uncertainty and frequent upheaval. The arrival of twins Robin and Maurice in 1949, followed later by youngest brother Andy, deepened both the joy and the strain within the family. As economic pressures mounted, the Gibbs made a drastic decision in 1958. They emigrated to Australia in search of stability. Instead, they found new forms of hardship. Settling in Queensland, they lived in modest conditions where every day demanded resilience. Barry, still a child, quickly absorbed the weight of responsibility, helping his family by performing wherever he could. Music was not yet a dream. It was necessity. In cramped rooms and modest neighborhoods, the brothers began to harmonize instinctively, discovering that their voices blended in ways that felt almost unnatural in their beauty and precision. These early years were not about ambition or artistry in the traditional sense. They were about survival, adaptation, and the slow emergence of a shared identity built on sound. First steps toward a shared musical identity. In Australia, the Gibb brothers gradually transformed from children singing in private into performers shaped by public attention. Barry, the eldest, naturally assumed a guiding role, writing early lyrics and shaping their direction, while Robin's expressive tone and Maurice's steady musical grounding gave the trio a distinctive sound. Under the shortened name Bee Gees, inspired by early promoters and local influences, they began performing in small venues where audiences were unpredictable and often indifferent. Yet even in these unpolished settings, something remarkable was forming. Their harmonies carried a depth that belied their age, and gradually they began attracting attention beyond local circuits. The breakthrough came when one of their early songs gained traction in Australia, marking their first real exposure to public recognition. For Barry, still a teenager, this shift was transformative. Responsibility intensified as he became not only a performer but also a creative anchor for the group. Despite the modest scale of their early success, the brothers were already bound together in a way that would define their future. Music had evolved from survival into identity, and that identity was inseparable from family. Arrival in Britain and the birth of global recognition. By the mid-1960s, the Bee Gees returned to England, stepping into a music industry far larger and more competitive than anything they had experienced. Their timing proved pivotal. Managed by Robert Stigwood, they quickly gained access to professional recording environments and a broader audience. Early releases captured attention for their haunting emotional tone and unusual lyrical depth. Songs like reflective ballads and narrative-driven compositions distinguished them from many contemporaries, drawing comparisons to the leading bands of the era. Barry's songwriting matured rapidly during this period, showing a sensitivity that resonated widely. The brothers were no longer simply a family act. They were emerging as serious contributors to British pop music. Success, however, did not arrive without strain. The pressures of constant recording, touring, and expectation began to test their internal dynamics. Still, their shared history kept them anchored. Even as fame expanded around them, the Bee Gees remained fundamentally shaped by the bond formed in childhood. Their rise in Britain marked the transition from regional performers to international figures, setting the stage for a decade that would redefine their place in music history. Creative peaks and the strain beneath success. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Bee Gees produced a series of deeply emotional and widely acclaimed songs that solidified their reputation as masterful songwriters. Their music during this era often reflected themes of longing, heartbreak, and introspection, resonating with audiences across continents. However, behind the creative output, tensions within the group began to surface. Robin briefly departed from the band, a decision that nearly fractured their unity. Barry later described the separation as emotionally devastating, underscoring how deeply intertwined their identities had become. Maurice, meanwhile, often acted as mediator, attempting to preserve balance between his older and younger brothers. Despite internal strain, their reunion restored stability, and they continued producing music that maintained critical and commercial relevance. Yet the music industry was shifting rapidly, and the sound that once defined them began to feel less aligned with emerging trends. As disco and rhythm-driven styles gained popularity, the Bee Gees found themselves at a crossroads. Their future depended on reinvention, but reinvention carried risk, especially for artists already defined by a distinctive sound and emotional style rooted in earlier decades. Reinvention and the rise of a new sound. The mid-1970s marked a turning point in the Bee Gees' career. With guidance from collaborators and producers, they began experimenting with rhythm-driven music and falsetto vocals, a shift that initially challenged Barry's artistic instincts. However, this transformation proved essential. Their new sound aligned with emerging musical trends and reintroduced them to global audiences. The success of songs like energetic rhythm tracks signaled a dramatic revival, positioning them once again at the forefront of popular music. This reinvention was not merely stylistic, it represented survival within an industry that had begun to move beyond them. Barry's vocal evolution, particularly his distinctive falsetto, became central to their identity during this period. What began as experimentation soon became signature style. The Bee Gees had effectively reinvented themselves, transitioning from reflective balladeers to architects of a new musical era. This shift laid the foundation for one of the most influential moments in their career, one that would define not only their legacy, but an entire cultural movement in music history. Saturday Night Fever and cultural immortality. The release of Saturday Night Fever marked the pinnacle of the Bee Gees' global influence. Tasked with creating music for the film, Barry and his brothers produced a collection of songs that would become synonymous with the disco era. Tracks like emotionally charged love songs and rhythm-heavy anthems dominated charts worldwide, transforming the soundtrack into a cultural phenomenon. At its peak, the album achieved unprecedented commercial success, embedding the Bee Gees into the fabric of global pop culture. Their music was not just popular, it was unavoidable. Dance floors, radio stations, and television broadcasts all carried their sound, cementing their status as defining artists of the era. Yet this level of visibility also came with consequences. The Bee Gees were no longer just musicians, they had become symbols of a genre that would soon face intense backlash. Still, in that moment, their success was absolute. Barry stood at the center of it, writing and performing songs that would outlive the decade itself. The world belonged to their sound, even if only temporarily. Backlash, isolation, and internal collapse. As quickly as disco rose, it fell into cultural rejection, and the Bee Gees became one of its most visible casualties. Public backlash against the genre turned aggressive, with symbolic events mocking or destroying disco records as expressions of cultural disdain. The Bee Gees, once celebrated, were suddenly ridiculed and dismissed by critics and parts of the public. This external hostility intensified internal pressures within the group. Maurice struggled with alcohol dependency, and Robin's emotional sensitivity often clashed with Barry's leadership role. The harmony that once defined them began to fracture under strain. Touring became more difficult, creative collaboration more tense, and personal relationships more fragile. Meanwhile, Barry found himself carrying increasing responsibility as both songwriter and stabilizing force. The unity that had once carried them through poverty and early success was now eroding under the weight of fame and exhaustion. The shift was not just professional, it was deeply personal, signaling the beginning of a long period of instability that would reshape the family forever. The loss of Andy Gibb. The death of Andy Gibb marked one of the most devastating moments in Barry's life. Andy, the youngest brother, had achieved his own success in the late 1970s with a series of popular solo hits, but fame arrived too quickly and proved difficult to sustain. Struggles with addiction and personal instability eventually overshadowed his career. Despite efforts from his family to support him, Andy's health deteriorated over time. His death at just 30 years old was a profound blow to Barry, who had watched his younger brothers rise and decline with growing helplessness. The loss introduced a permanent shift in Barry's relationship with music, turning performance into something emotionally layered with grief. Songs were no longer just artistic expressions, they became reminders of absence. Andy's passing also reinforced a painful truth. Success did not protect the Gibb family from tragedy. Instead, it often magnified its consequences. For Barry, the realization that he could not save his youngest brother became a lifelong emotional burden. Maurice Gibb and the breaking of the core. The death of Maurice Gibb in 2003 represented another irreversible fracture in Barry's world. Maurice had long served as the stabilizing presence within the Bee Gees, mediating tensions and maintaining cohesion between Barry and Robin. His sudden death following medical complications left the remaining structure of the group irreparably damaged. For Barry, the loss was not only personal, but symbolic. It marked the end of the Bee Gees as a functioning trio. Attempts to continue performing were overshadowed by absence, as every collaboration now felt incomplete. Without Maurice, the group's musical identity lost its grounding. Barry and Robin briefly attempted to continue working together, but the dynamic had fundamentally changed. What remained was memory rather than collaboration, echoing a past that could no longer be recreated. Maurice's absence underscored how central each brother had been to the group's identity, and how fragile that identity truly was when one part was removed. Robin Gibb and the final farewell. Robin Gibb's illness and eventual death in 2012 marked the final chapter in the Bee Gees' shared story. After years of battling serious health challenges, Robin passed away following a prolonged illness, leaving Barry as the last surviving member. Their relationship, often marked by both creative synergy and emotional tension, had defined much of the Bee Gees' artistic output. Robin's distinctive voice and interpretive style were essential to their sound, and his absence completed the gradual dissolution of the group. Barry's grief was compounded by the realization that the entire family structure that had once produced global music phenomena was gone. What remained was legacy without participation. The emotional weight of this loss extended beyond personal mourning, influencing how Barry approached music and public life. Every performance became a reflection of memory, and every song a reminder of voices no longer present. The last voice and enduring memory. In the years following the loss of his brothers, Barry Gibb continued to perform, though in a profoundly altered emotional landscape. His music became less about reinvention and more about preservation. Live performances often included visual and auditory tributes to his brothers, transforming concerts into shared memorials. While audiences experienced celebration, Barry experienced remembrance. The act of singing became a form of continuity, connecting past and present through sound. Despite age and loss, his voice remains recognizable, carrying traces of the decades that shaped him. Today, Barry stands not only as a surviving member of a legendary group, but as a living custodian of its history. His story is no longer defined by chart success or cultural dominance alone, but by endurance through profound personal loss. In continuing to sing, he preserves the presence of those who are gone, ensuring that the Bee Gees exist not only in records but in memory carried forward by the last voice left to tell their story.